Everyone has a technique. The Slayers have breathing styles. The Upper Moons have blood demon arts. And then Muzan said, why stop at one gender when you can have multiple? First form, human form. Why did Muzan kill the doctor? Before Muzan became the monster we know today, he was once just a fragile man, born as a stillborn baby with no heartbeat. Everyone believed he was dead and should be cremated immediately. But then, against all odds, he let out his first cry and lived. Even so, Muzan's life was full of suffering. He was weak, had an incurable illness, and suffered from thanatophobia, or intense fear of death. Doctors said he wouldn't live past 20, but one doctor never gave up and tried a special medicine made from a rare flower called the blue spider lily. At first it didn't seem to work, and in anger Muzan killed the doctor, but soon after, his body began to heal beyond humans. That's when he realized the medicine had worked, but changed him into something else, something inhuman. But it was too late. He had already killed his only hope to ever become a human being again. Second form, young Muzan. This is the form responsible for most of Muzan's crimes, to the point you can't even blame him, almost. Now, long after the transformation, Muzan's body began to change. His heartbeat grew stronger, his blood ran wild, and he could feel energy surging through his veins. But all of this came with a cost. A hunger that no ordinary food could satisfy, and a curse that forced Muzan to hide his true nature. That was the first form he took as a demon. To survive, Muzan started consuming human flesh and discovered that with each victim he grew stronger. His skin regained color, his body grew strong, and his cells began to mutate endlessly. He discovered he could regenerate any wound, never age, and wield blood capable of transforming humans into demons, and that gave him hope. He figured if he had more demons that he could control and use, the easier he could find the cure. The only problem is that dude's psychotic urges went off the charts and tormented people like crazy to achieve his goal. Third form, human noble form. This form shows how Muzan actually stayed hidden even from Hashiras while walking around as a normal human. As Muzan continued to evolve, he learned to master his new body, not just its strength, but its appearance. To move freely in the human world, he perfected the art of disguise. This form is known as his human noble form, a perfect imitation of humanity, elegant, composed, and handsome. Muzan appeared as a wealthy nobleman with pale skin, sharp features, and an aura of refinement that concealed the monster within. Muzan had developed perfect human mimicry. He could hide his demonic aura, suppress his heartbeat, even alter his scent to go undetected among humans and demon slayers alike. He could walk right past a Hashira and they would never know. Many demon slayers might have crossed paths with him over the years, but to them he was just another man in the crowd. His emotions were masks, calm, polite, and charming on the outside, but inside, he was seething with pride and paranoia. Tanjiro Kamado, with his extraordinary sense of smell, was the first to detect Muzan's hidden scent of blood that no disguise could hide, the scent he recognized from his home. That moment marked their first encounter in episode 7 of the anime when Tanjiro came face to face with Muzan in the middle of a crowd. Surrounded by humans, Muzan calmly held the hand of his human wife and child, projecting the perfect image of a loving father. But behind those gentle eyes was a predator in control. Muzan had not only disguised himself, he had manipulated the minds of his family, making them truly believe he was an ordinary man. He could twist memories and emotions that made his illusion unbreakable. In this state, he moved silently among humans, building his empire of demons, turning countless victims into monsters under his control. The demon slayers searched endlessly for the source of all evil, but Muzan walked among them unnoticed. The human noble form is not his strongest form physically, but it's one of the most dangerous because it allowed the Demon King to hide in plain sight. Fourth form, female form. The only person in Demon Slayer who is not homophobic is Muzan, because he turns into any gender and hates them all equally. Even the perfect disguise wasn't enough for Muzan. To maintain absolute control, he needed to become someone no one could ever suspect, not even his own demons. That's when he took on his female form. Through complete cellular reconfiguration, Muzan altered his entire body, his bones, hormones, and voice. He transformed into a graceful woman with long black hair, pale skin, and piercing eyes that carried both beauty and dread. We first saw this form during the Lower Moon meeting, shortly after the death of Lower Moon 5, Rui, around episode 26. Surrounded by the surviving lower moons, Muzan appeared not as their leader, but as an elegant woman, calm, composed, and terrifyingly beautiful. One by one he erased them, showing no emotion, only disgust at their weakness. In this form, Muzan could emit a seductive, commanding aura, one that kept even the most violent demons trembling in his presence. He learned to manipulate his aura, sometimes soft and alluring, other times suffocating with fear. Every word, every gesture was calculated to remind others who truly ruled the demon world. A single glance from him could silence any defiance. A single word could inspire blind loyalty or instant death. Fifth form, child form. This form is how Muzan actually shows his real paranoia, and you'll see how Tanjiro broke it. This form represents Muzan's true desire, and what he secretly wishes he could get back. For most demons, power is shown through size, strength, and fear. But Muzan learned a long time ago that true power lies in deception. To disappear completely, he became what no one would ever suspect, a child. In this disguise, Muzan appeared as a frail young boy with pale skin, soft black hair, and calm, innocent eyes. A picture of purity concealing the purest evil. To complete the illusion, Muzan created a false family of humans, whose minds he twisted until they believed they were his parents. They loved him, cared for him, and feared for his health. Because Muzan made them believe he suffered from a rare illness, one that prevented him from ever stepping into sunlight. To them, their son was not a monster, but a delicate child cursed by fate. It was the perfect disguise. His need to avoid the sun became part of his disguise, not a sign of his true nature. But deep down, you have to wonder, did the Demon King truly long for this? The warmth and being part of a family? Each disguise he wore was a reflection of the life he could never truly have. Because before he discovered his power, Muzan's only wish was to live, to be human, normal. Maybe beneath the monster, that longing never fully died. And so, protected by pity and love, the Demon King lived comfortably among humans, undetected by all. Through his disguise, he could live among humans without suspicion. His demonic aura was completely hidden. The Demon King had turned innocence itself into a weapon. We see this form during the Entertainment District arc around chapter 67 of the manga, when Muzan is visited by Akaza to inform him the death of Rengoku. The mighty upper moon kneels before what appears to be a human child trembling, not from fear of a monster, but of a boy. Muzan's voice was calm, but chilling. Every word laced with authority, every look a reminder of who truly ruled. This wasn't a form of battle, but of psychological perfection, Muzan's ultimate camouflage. He could also walk among the living, untouched and unnoticed, his empire growing beneath the surface. Sixth form, true demon form. This form is every girl's favorite form, and let me not go too deep into that. After years of hiding behind masks and human disguises, there came a time when Muzan no longer needed to pretend. This was his true demon form, the form that showed his real nature as the king. We first saw this form during the Infinity Castle arc, in chapter 180 of the manga, when Muzan emerged from a massive cocoon deep inside the castle. After Tamayo injected him with a deadly poison meant to weaken him, Muzan's body reacted violently. It transformed, adapted, and then evolved beyond recognition. And before anyone could even blink, he slaughtered every demon slayer around him in an instant. Even Tamayo, the one who dared to poison him, was crushed to death. His skin turned white, mouth with sharp teeth all over his body, and he had veins stretched all over him. Moving at a speed no one could follow, Muzan tore through the castle's warriors, each slash faster than the last. Then came the moment for the first time. Tanjiro Kamado and Giyu Tomioka, the water Hashira, stood face to face with Muzan's true form. And that's when they realized they were underpaid. In this form, Muzan's abilities were beyond imagination. He could transform his arms into long, bladed whips that were covered in spikes and slice through everything in their path. Each swing could level walls and tear apart anyone who got close. His regeneration was instant, his organs constantly shifting to avoid fatal blows, and his cells adapted to every poison and wound. Seventh form, rage form. Even with all the strength he had, this form might be his weakest of all. In chapter 184, when Yushiro hijacked Nakame's vision and took control of the Infinity Castle, Muzan's fury finally erupted. The castle began to crumble, walls twisting and collapsing, as Muzan roared in rage. And after the fall of the castle, we finally saw his rage form. His body began to mutate. The mouths that once covered his form split open wider, his skin pulsing like molten flesh. From his back, massive black-red tentacles erupted, whipping and tearing through everything in sight. Each one moved with terrifying precision, as if they had minds of their own. His pupils vanished, hollow eyes, a sign that Muzan had lost all sense of restraint or reason. This wasn't gonna be something to survive. It was gonna be a massacre. His speed and power skyrocketed. He could stretch his tentacles across vast distances, each tip sharp enough to pierce stone and steel. His blows carried the weight of earthquakes, and every movement left craters in the ground. Even the strongest demon slayers Tanjiro, Giyu, Obanai, Gyome, Sanemi, and Mitsuri could barely keep up. His cells evolved mid-fight, nullifying every poison still in his veins, and his regeneration became near instantaneous. Cut him, burn him, explode him, he just kept reforming. This was Muzan stripped of every mask, every shred of control. He no longer cared for elegance or dominance, only annihilation, pure instinct, pure rage. He made the demon slayers run around in circles with strategy for centuries, but when it came down to it, he lost all of it. 8th form, infant form. Is this the strongest form of Muzan? Even after centuries of terror, even after all his monstrous transformations, Muzan's desperation knew no bounds. In chapter 199 of the manga, we see the Demon King take his final desperate form, an infant-like body. The first rays of sunlight had finally pierced the battlefield. His massive, rage-monstrous form could no longer survive. His flesh burned and melted, and the only way to resist the sun was to change himself into this fragile infant form. But don't let this fool you. Even in this baby body, Muzan's power was terrifying. He could smash cars and trains, wrecking the battlefield with sheer force, and he still tried to fight back against the demon slayers. His survival instinct drove him to the edge, even as the sun's light threatened to end him once and for all. This form was unique because it allowed him to withstand sunlight longer than any other form. Unlike his rage or true demon forms, he couldn't survive outside for long, without taking drastic measures, so he condensed himself into the most resilient vessel possible. But why didn't he split his body like he had in the fight against Yoruichi? Was it because the sunlight prevents his cells from regenerating freely? Or dividing would have weakened him instantly? 9th form, Tanjiro's demon form. This form brings out more mysteries in the series than any other one. Even as the sunlight scorched his massive body, Muzan's mind refused to die. In chapter 201 to 203, we see the Demon King's last desperate attempt, the Tanjiro demon form. Muzan, facing certain death, tried to transfer his consciousness and will into Tanjiro, hoping to survive by using the body of this unique boy. Tanjiro, already infected by Muzan's blood, had a body capable of enduring sunlight, and Muzan saw it as a perfect vessel to escape his final defeat. In this form, Muzan's blood-based powers were unlike anything seen before. He could implant his memories, knowledge, and fighting instincts into Tanjiro, trying to take control from within. He even used the same tentacles as before. He could even use regeneration. He brought back Tanjiro's lost arm and retained some of his abilities through the host. But unlike his previous forms, this one wasn't about strength or terror. It was pure desperation and cunning. He tried to manipulate Tanjiro's mind, twisting the boy's perception and even attempting to override his will. He tried to cheat fate, to live on through another, to survive when all else had failed. But in the end, the Tanjiro form could not save him, and Tanjiro remained himself.